afternoon, Carolinas. This is Storm Warden here with you today, giving you another video. Today I will be talking about the severe weather wish that will take place tomorrow over the north central plains towards Minnesota, South Dakota, and parts of Wisconsin and Nebraska. So I like to start off by giving you surface analysis. We're pretty dry, clear today with clear skies. There's temperatures hovering right around normal, right around 86, 85 degrees, so pretty typical of this time of year. Later on this week, though, we will have dew points that creep back up, giving us back high humidity and high heat. So if you're outside this week, take care of yourself and be cautious of the heat and humidity that will creep back in later on this week. So I want to give you the first look at our severe weather wish tomorrow. I want to start off by just showing you the SBC outlook. There's a enhanced risk of severe weather towards eastern and southeastern South Dakota, going over towards Minnesota, central Minnesota, and a small slither of Wisconsin here is an enhanced risk. So you'll want to watch out in these areas for a tornado threat, hail threat, and wind threat. Hail being the biggest threat out of the three, with a 30% hatched risk for significant hail today. So that'll be something that you want to look out for in those areas. Now I want to start off by giving you the look at the HRRR model. So we're going to move up in time. I'm going to give you, okay, so here we are starting, let me 15Z today. So we're going to start tomorrow at 12Z, which is roughly 7, 8 a.m. I may be a little wrong on that. So first thing I like to look at is dew points. I like to look at our moisture return, see what we're dealing with as far as our moisture return. So we have some pretty significant high dew points in the mid 70s. This will give away to some strong surface-based instability, which will give away to a very significant severe weather wish tomorrow, with large hail, damaging wind being the two main threats. But there is a small isolated tornado threat tomorrow as well. But we will get all into that as we go into this video. So I'll start off with our 850 low-level jet, which is our low-level jet 850 millibar height winds. So going through time, we're going to start at 12Z Monday, which is tomorrow morning, 7, 8 a.m. Again, I may be a little wrong on that, but right around that time frame. So you notice there's not much low-level winds. So our tornado threat tomorrow isn't significant at all. But there is some stronger upper-level winds, stronger upper-level shear that storms will have to tap into, which will give us a significant damaging wind threat. I'm going to keep saying that because I think the biggest threat tomorrow is going to be large hail and damaging winds. So you have about a 40 to 50 knot jet over an area of extreme to high instability tomorrow, which should give away to a pretty significant severe weather wish. So going here to our severe weather parameters, I want to start off by giving you the look at the surface-based CAPE, which is surface-based instability. So we get into our day tomorrow, 12Z. This is like 7, 8 in the morning, and you're already seeing CAPE values of about 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram. This is some significant instability for early morning hours. Now, to go through the day, you have some extreme value showing up here in the eastern parts of South Dakota, and especially over here in the central Minnesota. So these areas right in here are going to be under the gun for some significant large hail and damaging winds tomorrow. I'm telling you right now. So if we go through time, that all shifts south and east with time, and that will also bring another threat of severe weather in the early morning hours for Tuesday over here towards Wisconsin. So that'll be something to watch out for as well. Now, looking at our bulk shear, 0 to 1 kilometer shear. Again, we're going to start at 12Z Monday, and your bulk shear, all that stuff increases as we go into the evening hours. this is when you could get a tornado threat anywhere in this time period, right in these areas right in here. So I'm gonna use my pen. Right in these areas right in here is where you could get that tornado threat along any fast moving squall lines. You may get a QLCS tornado threat, which basically just means tornadoes in a line of storms. You may get a few supercells, but those cells will mainly be large hail producers. The large hail threat tomorrow is a 30% hatch, which tells us that there's a significant threat of very large hail tomorrow. So that will be something to watch. Now, as we look at our storm relative felicity, which is an ingredient for tornadoes, not the only ingredient, but it's one of the biggest ingredients for tornadoes. Notice how you also get an increase in that as we go into the evening hours. Now, a lot of this is happening as the storms are moving away and out of the most favorable part of the day. So, again, our tornado threat is isolated and small. It's like a 5% risk, but again, there's a tornado threat nonetheless. Now, looking at your 0 to 3 kilometer EHI, which is another product that we use for severe weather. And as we go with time, I want to show you the time frame. EHI levels aren't bad either. So, you know, overall, this chart looks quite significant for severe weather. Now, I want to show you the significant tornado parameter, which is a parameter made up of all the other parameters to show you: surface-based instability, shear, helicity, which makes up the significant tornado parameter. Now, as we go through time, I want you to notice the significant tornado threat isn't off the charts, which is why I'm telling you this isn't going to be a big tornado threat. This is going to be a large damaging wind and hail threat across these areas. But notice there's some areas of more of some slight significant tornado parameter. If we click on the sounding here, and you have some curvature in that photograph, but this is like a damaging wind threat with straight lines showing up in the photograph. So I'm telling you, straight line winds is a really big threat tomorrow. Now we drop down to our reflectivity. Here I'm going to show you the radar, which is probably what you all want to see today. So we're going to start out 12Z tomorrow. Now, a couple things to look out for. One, you have an area of shower and storm activity early morning hours of Monday out over here towards the very far. Here, let me erase that for you. Get it off the screen. You have already have some storm coverage in these areas right here over western parts of northern Nebraska and western parts of South Dakota. So you'll want to watch out in these areas for any storms that form in the morning, albeit these will not be severe, probably just heavy rainmakers, probably just something that'll wake you up out of your sleep, or probably just be something that'll get in the way of your morning commute, but nothing of any significance in these areas at least. Now, what this is doing is as this pushes east, what you're going to get is you're going to get a significant area of intense instability to form in these areas right here. Now, let me actually rewrite that because I drew that a little bit too big. Let's go here. In these areas, I'll say right about here, we'll have some very significant instability showing up in the models. As this pushes east, what you're going to notice is that this is actually going to end up, this is going to push east, and it's actually going to intensify as it does so. So as it does so, notice you're getting some intense storms forming off the HRRR right in this area, right in here, right along that South Dakota, Minnesota border. Those will push east with time. And notice some of these cells are by themselves. We call those supercells. Any of these cells, you could have a significant large hail threat with a very small isolated tornado threat. Albeit, I think most of the tornado threat remains south of these areas, so probably more like these areas right in here. Let me erase that. Let me erase that. Erase. these areas right in here will have probably the best threat of a tornado tomorrow. And this is also the area where the SBC Storm Prediction Center is also highlighted for a 5% tornado risk tomorrow. So those will be areas to watch out for tornado threat. But anywhere in these areas could have a tornado threat, especially any of these little cells you're seeing like that right there is by itself. But I'm telling you, as these storms combine and as we get a much more bigger threat of severe weather, you will have a very significant damaging wind threat, especially as these storms combine into a linear cluster, which is basically just a line of thunderstorms, kind of like what's showing up right here, and then what this will become as that pushes east into a very favorable atmosphere for severe weather. So, I want to show you the rest of this run, if it lets me do this. Hold on. Okay, so finish up this run and look at that. That's a nasty cluster and a linear cluster of thunderstorms just pushing all throughout these areas of southeastern South Dakota and western to central Minnesota on the southern side of Minnesota. So south central southern side of Minnesota, and then that will push into the Wisconsin area in the early morning hours Tuesday. So don't let your guard down in Wisconsin. You also have a pretty nasty threat of severe weather coming your way, but more so towards a 5 to 4 a.m. time frame in Wisconsin, and that's in the far western parts of Wisconsin. So I'm gonna show you another model, the NAM 3KM, which is a little bit more aggressive, I think. Here, I like to start on my dew points, and here we go. So we're going through the early morning hours of Monday. Now, the NAM is showing an intense area of heating right along this area right in here with 80-degree dew points. If this happens, number one, I do think if we get these 80-degree dew points tomorrow, this may actually help to increase the tornado threat as well. But what I also think this is going to do is this is going to allow the damaging wind threat to increase even more, because now you're owning more instability, and this will also allow the large hail threat to be very prominent tomorrow. The large hail threat is very significant tomorrow, so that's also something to watch out for. Now, I'm going to show you a model run here out of the NAM 3KM. I wanna bring your attention to a few things that I'm watching off the NAM 3KM model. So here we are. We're starting at. We're gonna start tomorrow at 12Z. Now, here's what we have. Notice storms don't start forming until closer to the 7 to 8 o'clock time frame. But look how these storms just explode. And I'm telling you right now, this looks very nasty up in NAM 3KM over here in eastern South Dakota with a nasty little broken up line of supercells, at least in the beginning. But this quickly becomes a bowed out line of storms. And whenever you have a line of thunderstorms that bows out, such as this one right here, you see that little bow out structure right there? What that means is that you have a nasty line of wind coming at you along the border of South Dakota and Minnesota. This all pushes east very fast. Another thing is, if you can keep these storms moving really fast, I would not be surprised if you get a couple of tornadoes within this line tomorrow. So that'll be something to watch out for as well. And we keep going on that model run. And that is a nasty line of storms showing up into us eastern South Dakota, going into south central Minnesota. And it looks like you have another potential line of storms along with our short wave that moves through, that tries to push into the same areas that just got hit a few hours ago. Granted, most of what forms here will take away a lot of the instability needed for these storms to really be of any significance. But tomorrow is a day to be weather aware for multiple rounds of severe weather. Now, something else that's interesting about an NAM 3KM is it shows a heightened tornado risk. And I want to give your attention to that. So notice how I was telling you about that area of 80-degree dew points located, coincided right, uh, right in here. So I actually want to click on the sounding in this area right here. So let's click on the sounding anywhere in this area, right? That's you see some curvature in that photograph owing to some more wind shear, a lower level wind shear that the NAM is showing, which is indicating maybe an increased heightened risk of tornadoes. Now, granted, I'm not as qualified as others on this app when it comes to talking about photographs, but to me, this was like a more of a tornado risk with a large hail threat in there. But I'm telling you right now, the biggest thing that you want to be worried about tomorrow or be prepared for is damaging winds and large hail threat. So, and I want to show you updraft velocity off the NAM 3 km tomorrow, and I'm going to start out right around 12Z. Look at that. That's pretty significant, and basically what this is showing us is that anywhere in, let me erase that, anywhere in this area right in here could see a rotating thunderstorm. Just because the storm's rotating doesn't mean it's going to produce a tornado, you know. But it does show the possibility that there could be a tornado, generally in the area that's highlighted by the SBC Storm Prediction Center. So that'll be something to watch out for in those areas. So overall, this threat looks fairly significant. If I was to draw an area of even greater concern, I would probably say right along the border to the southeastern part of South Dakota, going into central Minnesota as the highest area for severe weather. This area right in here, I can see some sort of significant severe weather, and you know it's not out of the realm of possibility that you get a moderate risk, 4 out of 5 risk for damaging wind gusts tomorrow. I want to show you the current SBC outlook, which there's your enhanced risk, but I want to show you a tornado threat, and here's that 5% tornado risk located right up in here, basically where I drew that circle at. This area right in here will need to be on the guard for tornadoes, but there's a 2% risk also that extends pretty far out, so you want to watch out for a tornado anywhere where these storms form tomorrow. But I want to bring your attention to this hail risk. This hail risk is significant. You have a 30% hatch risk for significant hail tomorrow, so you'll want to watch out for very, very large hail tomorrow, as long as some strong damaging winds. Right now, it's a 30% risk. I would not be surprised if you get a localized area of 45% hatch risk of some serious damaging winds tomorrow, especially along that South Dakota to central and south central Minnesota tomorrow. So those be some things to watch out for with our severe threat tomorrow. More than likely, I'll bring you guys another update tomorrow morning